the 3rd, 2022. All right. So, some fun stuff is happening out in the world right now. By fun, I mean not fun at all. Coronavirus has pretty much been tossed to the wayside. It's like it doesn't even exist anymore. We're not hearing much about it. So, just want to check it out. Oh man, the shiny glasses. Yeah, it's like coronavirus. Yesterday's news. What's really going on now, the media narrative that's being pushed is the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and they're telling us to side with Ukraine. And well, you know, this Ukrainian president, he's a former actor and comedian. And another puppet that was a former actor / comedian was Ronald Reagan. And that's going to ruffle a lot of feathers. I used to be a really big fan of Ronald Reagan myself. And the more you study and the more you know and the more you learn and peel back the layers, the more you realize that he was just a mouthpiece as well, just a figurehead. So that's why it didn't really surprise me that Trump was able to pull off what he pulled off. He just switched hats. You know, Trump was also a liberal / Democrat for many, many years. Until he just said one day, oh, I just want to play for the other team. I'm going to switch jerseys from red to blue, from blue to red, whatever. You know, I mean, that's the thing, is because these folks, they don't have the team that you pick because your tribalist brain wants to pick a side. Their team is the rich and the wealthy, because they're going to do whatever they can to keep that control, to keep that power, to keep that wealth, to keep that money. Well, anyway, I was having a discussion with somebody recently, and they're very worried that Russia keeps doing this and pushing forward and plowing forward into Ukraine in order to provoke a nuclear war. Because that's what is going to, you know, they want it to trigger the next world war or whatever, that Russia wants a reason to fire or whatever. And I'm sitting here and I'm saying, no. This is capitalism and the free market. This is A influences B, B influences C, C influences D, so therefore D influences A. A and B don't see eye to eye, B and C don't see eye to eye, A and C see a little eye to eye, but A and D see eye to eye, but D and C see more eye to eye than D and B, and so on and so forth. And so what really gets me, though, is how people, how the war in Afghanistan is over, right? 20 years of conflict just gone like that. 20 years of war, of killing, of pillaging, of oil manipulation, gone. No big party, not really. Headlines, sure, but what was going on? Really, the coronavirus. That was bigger news. Well, every 20 years there seems to be something new, right? You know, it wouldn't really surprise me if Blackwater was on that border 2-3 months ago. I was interested in what it looked like, because, you know, the stock market has been in making headlines of being in, you know, big free falls and downturns, and we're in bear market territory and correction territory and whatever. Well, I did a 1 month chart for 3 out of the top 10 defense company stocks used by governments around the world, mainly militaries like the U.S. military. These companies were Lockheed Martin and I should have had this prepared. I have it, but it was 3 defense contractor companies. And in the last month, their stock has risen anywhere between 14 and 18%. These are companies that are trading anywhere between $250 and $450 a share. And if you look at the numbers, and the only color that capitalism cares about being the color green, I don't understand how it doesn't make sense that this is about money. This isn't about some shadow Illuminati organization that doesn't, the Illuminati, that does not exist. There is not an evil, yes, we'll take over the world. We'll smoke our cigars and drink our fine brandies. No. That is not what happens. What happens is sales representative from defense contractor A and sales representative from defense contractor B, who were selling all of these contracts and weapons technologies and airplanes and missiles and armaments to the U.S. military to fight the war in Afghanistan, suddenly you're going to have a huge drop in profits. Because why? Because sales are plummeting. Because there's no war to fund the sales. I mean, it's like an old Nicolas Cage movie, Lord of War. I mean, it kills me that some people are still so buried in the sand. But, so, no, it's not the Illuminati, but it's Mr. Salesman who has cocktail drinks with private military contractor so-and-so from Blackwater, or another private military contractor, that, you know, like they make deals and they talk and they do the thing. And what do these companies have in common? Either A, they're publicly traded, and the corporation has a legal obligation to return equity to shareholders, to produce equity to shareholders. Increase shareholder equity, increase shareholder equity, increase shareholder equity is drilled into you if you go into business or finance, anything like that. And that is what a publicly traded corporation is supposed to do. So a publicly traded defense company, if its main bread and butter is war, then there's going to be war, especially if they're big corporations. And so you're going to get other rich billionaires like the Koch brothers maybe, or Soros, or whoever, who are large shareholders in these companies. I mean, you can look at like Dick Cheney and how he was, I think, invested in like Halliburton or one of these companies, and he was the chairman on like the board of one of these companies and owned like so much stock. And it's like 9/11 happened and he's vice president, and so like who does he choose to be the defense contractor for the US? Obviously the company that he's chairman of the board of, or holds a position on the board, whatever, you know. I'm just generalizing here. The fact is there, you can look it up. It's in a book that I read about, words, Dave. Naomi Klein, Disaster Capitalism, I think is, you know, it's basically that, disaster capitalism. And you can like, yeah, she points out a lot of different things, from like how Katrina was the evils of capitalism in Katrina, and how it just, I don't know, just money runs the world. And that is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But there is moral and ethical obligations. And people like to live in la fra la land. La-di-da-di-da-di-la land. You know, that's like the thing I think about like vegetarians and vegans. It's like they think that, you know, hunting is so bad and the world is like a Disney movie out in nature. And it's like, no, it's not. I've seen a video of hyenas eating a caribou from the inside out. Like, one of them crawled into its chest cavity and the caribou is still alive. And they're just ravaging this animal alive from the stomach up, from the hindquarters up. Nature is savage. Human nature has gotten better. That's why I love Steven Pinker's book, Better Angels of Our Nature. It goes to point out that in an increasingly technological world where everything is 24/7, the access to news and stories has become more readily available, and in order to increase that access, you got to have more clickbait style articles and things like that to drive viewership, and that is an unfortunate side effect of this world that we live in. And anyway, but overall, the world's gotten to be a much less violent place. So that's good. It's just the news and the media likes to focus on all the negativity. I mean, it wasn't even like that long ago in history when so many people were dying. I mean, they're terrible acts of war and violence. I mean, the Civil War alone, all of the world wars, the medieval era, and all the torture and everything that happened, people getting like their hands chopped off for stealing. I mean, all of this, stoned to death, like all of the stuff in the Bible, like it's terrible evilness, absolute miserable atrocities. Human nature is pretty brutal. But we're not moving past that. And it's our obligation to do that. To be better. It's a different kind of manifest destiny. And it's not happening because we have to produce this profit. And so many needless Russian soldiers are dying, leaving behind widows and families and children who are going to grow up without mothers or fathers because they're dead. Decimating a country, innocent Ukrainian civilians are dying. People are dying, all in the name of profit. But the media, who is funded by a concentrated few who have interest in these defense companies because they know the markets and they know how to make more money, they are going to pay the media stations and the media outlets to stoke the fires of war, to keep on turning the war machine, to churn baby churn, burn baby burn. Keep making those missiles, keep firing those bullets, keep blowing up the tanks and flying the war planes. Dropping the bombs, baby, dropping the bombs. How are we going to justify making all of these bombs and missiles if we don't have anyone to drop them on or shoot them at? So let's pay the media to make a good cop, bad cop situation. And oh, evil Vladimir Putin invading Ukraine. I don't know what to say. I don't want to pick a side because I'm anti-war and pro-peace. Like, I'm anti all of this. I'm not pro-Russia or pro-Ukraine. I'm pro-peace. But the media is selling you the lie. They always sell you the lie. It blows my mind that people just oh, here, you're tired of this movie? Well, here, let's watch this one now about this war. I don't understand. Here's this new thing to be upset about. Don't worry about this. Here's this. It's not like fear sells. You know, fear sells, so you flock to more news to figure out what's going on, to find out what's going to happen next. You need to stop doing that. It's not healthy. Stop watching all this news and start reading more books. That's where the issues are coming. That's why the issues are the issues. I don't know. You know, I saw one of these, you know, Ukrainian war fighter, you know, civilians defending their territory pictures, and they're like holding these like metal replica AK-47s. They're not even real guns. They're not real. Miss Ukraine dressed up ready to defend her country, holding an airsoft gun? Question mark? Okay. Yeah. Don't piss in my mouth and tell me it's raining. I know propaganda when I see it. This is why I hesitated to jump on the bandwagon. Because I knew that there was something bigger going on. And I never trust what CNN and faux news say. Constant negative news network. Tucker Carlson and Rachel Maddow, they're both the same to me. They're entertainers. They're not newscasters. There's a reason that they had to go to trial and go to court, because they aren't news sources. They had to state for the court they are infotainment, entertainment, whatever. It is no longer the news. But that's because fear sells, and ratings, and dying dinosaurs of media need to try to survive, and you know, it gets ugly. The last breaths of a dying animal, desperate to eat, probably is not pretty. I mean, what are you going to do, I guess? You're going to buckle down and get through it, I suppose. But essentially what I'm getting at is people I work with, even. I've seen it on my social media feeds, friends that I have. And, you know, I have a varying degree of friends. I have friends from all different walks of life. And I work with people from different walks of life as well. And, you know, there's some who I talk to about this kind of thing, and they agree. They share my sentiment. They see through the bullshit. And then there's other ones who are like, give me the gun and show me where to shoot. You know, send me over there and I'll have this conflict ended, no problem. And it's like, are you sure about that, buddy? Like, do you know what you're saying right now? Because the media is getting in their head and telling them the only way to end this war, the only way to end conflict is violence and force and bust them in the mouth. And it's going to get so bad, America's going to have to intervene. It's going to happen. I mean, I'm sitting here saying I don't want it to happen. Like, it shouldn't happen. The U.S. doesn't need to intervene. But they will. They'll have to. I mean, they'll have to. But again, my conspiracy from like the last video is still true in my mind, is the U.S. is going to intervene and we're going to get our butt kicked. We're going to get our butts kicked. That way we won't be number one anymore. Because as the World Economic Forum has stated, and the whole agenda thing of like, you know, America will no longer be a superpower, will no longer be the world's number one country, or whatever it is. I mean, we're already not, but they just need a way to show us mentally that we're not. They need a way to wake the people up who are entrenched in this propaganda of America number one, America number one. It's like, no. We haven't been for a while, and we're not right now. Yeah, we're about to get busted in the mouth by Russia. So that's just kind of how I feel about the situation and what's going on. Whenever the media is telling you one thing, look at what else is going on. You know, the Ukrainian president in 2019, actually, he shut down 3 media outlets that dared to criticize him. It's not a democracy. That is not a free country. And here we are supporting it. I'm not saying Russia's the good guy, but I'm not saying Ukraine's the good guy either. Yeah. It's just a lot to wrap your head around and a lot to think about. It was a long time ago, a couple of years anyway, 2019, 2019. There's this guy I met. He was a good influence on my life. I really wish I could remember his name, but we spent some time together. And he talked about this one time that he made a mistake. And he didn't really be clear about what the mistake was that he made. He was vague. And that's kind of why it was good advice, is because, you know, I was like, what did you do? Like tell me more. Like, what happened? He's like, I moved in haste. And ever since then, I've never tried to make quick judgments. I don't feel like I need to stay on top of things. There's no need to stay on top of things. It's better to sit back and make a decision when you have more data points. And from what I can tell now, I'm happy with that decision, because, I mean, just in general, like, I cannot just sit here and be told what to believe by the media. It's like the same lies with different words every time. I don't understand how people keep buying into it. Like, do people not have the ability to, like, zoom out and see what's happened repeatedly? How this is a cycle? I mean, it didn't take World War II to know that the economy booms during and after war. Probably didn't even take the Civil War to realize that. But the Civil War was definitely one of the biggest indicators, I guess, of like, hey, I guess if we burn everything down and then unite and have to rebuild it, it's going to be a great bolster to the economy and to industry, because it's just going to be built back better in a new way. Really felt like we were on the brink of Civil War in the middle of COVID, didn't we? A lot of people were talking about that, man. A lot of people felt like that was what was being, you know, like they were trying to ignite it. Like they were trying to find the catalyst to just light us up, get us to start fighting each other. And we have been. They've been pitting us against each other for a while. And if it started happening, I'm sure that this place would go up in flames so quick. How do we build it? Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't really know. I don't really think it's a population control thing. I know that there's nutsos out there like that, but I had another train of thought that I needed to talk about. It's definitely around like what's going on with the narrative. I just don't remember exactly what it was. Oh, I had it right there too, just a minute ago. So close I could almost taste it. taxes, maybe. I don't know if that was a thing. I know that, one thing I saw on my Facebook feed today was some guy, it's tax season, right? Like, he was complaining about 34% tax rate. And I was like, motherfucker, do you not know how the progressive tax system works? Like, you are literally not paying 34% up until that point, like up until you reach that point. So, like, if you don't want to pay that in taxes, don't work harder, I guess. I don't know. You're literally paying more for work. Like you are complaining because at that point, you're making more than 99% of the rest of the world. Maybe not here in the U.S. or whatever, but like of the rest of the world, like 99, just like having like $10,000 or more in U.S. dollars means you're 99% ahead of like the rest of the world population. So, like, motherfucker, get off your fucking pedestal. Quit your humble bragging. Check your privilege, I guess. And historically, take a look at it, because back after World War II, the United States top earners were in a progressive tax bracket of 94%. That's right, 94. And you're gonna whine about 34%? Yeah, I know, it really sucks. If you're making over $160,000, having 34% of that after the whatever mark does suck. But if you're only making $10,000 over that, that's only $3,400, I guess. All right, you're still getting $6,000, and you're still getting way more on the income up to that point. I mean, the mere fact that you're making combined over $125,000 a year. I mean, unless you're in some kind of high COLI area, that's cost of living index, by the way. If you're in some place like California or New York where you have to have a higher income to compete and live, that's on you. But I mean, you can have an incredibly high income in middle America. I don't know. It's just all perspective, I guess. But no, there's no secret Illuminati shadow organization running the world. There's just rich and powerful people who get together and influence the outcome. And the free hand of the market is a part of that. Especially if you consider a corporation a person. Especially if you know sales. Especially if you know business. Especially if you know the stock market. If you know finance. If you know economics. If I'm a salesman and my job at Boeing or Lockheed Martin or Halliburton, that's not my job, right? I'm a salesperson. I get commission. If I'm going to get, I don't know, $600,000 if I win a contract with, I don't know, what's another country that's close to going to war with Ukraine or Russia? Let's call it Norway. No, Finland. Let's call it Finland. Finland's about to join the fight. And your buddy Mark over at Lockheed Martin is in talks with getting the contract with Finland. But so are you. Are you just going to let that $400,000 or $600,000 commission just slide? No. But as a member of the corporation, you are an extension of its consciousness. And I don't really care who you are. That amount of money is enough to trump a lot of people's ethics. I know some people want to sit here and say, I don't these companies, like, they don't want to go to war. They don't want to go to war. No, but, like, if war is on the table, if I make $600,000 in commission from my company for selling a contract to another country, and I tell a politician in another country like Russia, say, hey man, like, I'll give you 100,000 of this, like, commission if you influence your President Putin to push a war with the other country on this border of this country. I don't see how that's such a far-fetched idea. Everyone has a price. And not everything you do comes with a moral waiver or a moral or ethical agreement when you sign up to do it. Yeah. It's nice to want to believe that things are the way they are and nobody wants war and everyone wants peace. It's just not the case. Human nature dictates otherwise. Especially greed. Greed especially dictates otherwise. So I don't know. I don't know why it's so mind-blowingly hard to understand that that's what could be going on. Whatever though, it really could be as simple as Putin is an idiot and he wants to flex his big dick, try to take over a country one more time before he dies. Because he's like 70-something years old. Doubt it. When you got that much money and that much power, why do you want more? What's the point? Nah, you gotta be getting something real sweet out of it. Something real good. So, you gotta look for the incentive. Yeah, he's not just rolling in there for, I don't know. He's rolling in there because he's going to have a bunch of people take care of him and make sure he stays in power, or he's going to have a bunch of people take care of him if he doesn't, make sure that he lives out the rest of his days somewhere nice. This poor dog got hit. Man, it makes me so sad to see. It's been there in the last couple of days. I've been this way. Hate it. I love dogs so much. They're too good. We do not deserve dogs. Well, so yeah, don't be on either side. And that's what's great about this, though. And what I've noticed is how this has united so many people. My friends on the left, my friends on the right. Coming together, baby. Barbecued up. Rah, rah, USA. Rah, rah, down with Russia. Rah, rah, war. Rah, rah, war. Rah, rah, war. When the Democrats and the Republicans both want war, why not give it to them? How do we do it? How do we make both sides want war? Obviously, it's real easy. Get enough crisis actors, pay enough people to hold fake guns and pose. Kill off enough innocent civilians and blame it on a country. I mean, yes, Russians are probably probably actually happening. Probably is actually a war going on. But what's the big point? Everyone wants to talk about war with Russia, war with Ukraine. Oh, they want to talk about the nukes. Fear sells. Fear of what? What's going to be the next fear? The bigger question is, what are they going to distract you from? If only it weren't so simple. People like to overcomplicate things. You know, they need a complicated government. They need a complicated system of checks and balances. They need complicated reasons for why this is happening, or can't figure it out because they are naturally overcomplicating it and they can't figure it out. But it's really just as simple as money and power. Money and power. What is the incentive? And if enough people are going to be profiting, that's incentive enough. That is incentive enough right there. What do you think? You tell me. Is this a crazy power grab? Is this a last hurrah before Putin passes on the torch or passes on the life? Is this a, I don't know, something funded? Is this, what's going on? What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments below. As always, smash that like button, hit subscribe. I like to try to release a new video every couple of days, at least once a week. I tried to go every day there for a while, but man, that was tough coming out with the content. Not every day was producing enough talking points for my little puny brain. Anyway, tell me what you think, guys, and until next time, friends.